everyone, this is Laura with Cool Canines, and this is Jasper. Hidalgo's on the couch right now. And we're going to talk a little bit today about how to lure behaviors, and more specifically work on your sits and your downs, which are foundations for training many other things. And most people do want to teach their dogs how to sit and lie down. So we're going to work through that using luring. What is luring? Luring is taking a baited hand, so putting a treat in my hand, closing my hand, and Jasper, getting the dog attached to it. So for instance, Jasper smells that I have a treat and he wants it, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to him. But if I want my dog to sit, all I have to do is take my lure and bring it up and over his head. Okay? So if I'm using a clicker, Jasper, and take my lure, click, and treat as soon as he gets into that position. Good boy. Touch. Jasper, touch. Oh, you lazy. Come on. Here. Good boy. I know. He's like, oh, we're going to do some training right now. So the trick with luring is I only want to do this a few times, okay? I've done 3 times with a treat in my hand. I'm going to do it one more time. Good job. Okay? But, all done. Good boy. Now I'm going to do it, and he offers it quite a bit because he knows it pays well. Without a treat in my hand. And then click and reach for the treat. Okay? Over some time, all done. All done is our release cue. That's something else you want to teach your dogs. Once they learn the concept of sitting, you want to say all done, or give whatever kind of release cue you want to tell the dog that they're free to move out of position. It can be free, it can be all done, it can be done, whatever you want it to be. I tend to not use the word okay because we tend to say okay a lot in a day-to-day basis in a lot of contexts. So we want to make our cues specific enough that the dog will understand what is being expected, and not garble it with other things that we might say a lot. And okay tends to be one of those words. So my dogs, when Hidalgo was doing agility, he learned free as a release cue. They've learned all done because that's what I taught at Freedom Service Dogs, and I was using it with the dogs I bring over to stay with me, so they learned that. They also know okay because, honestly, when I first started training, I used okay as a release cue. So now I tend to use all done because it's the one that comes most naturally to me after training service dogs for more than 2 years. So, Jasper, hey, good boy. So once he's really good at being lured into the sit, I can say sit, give my hand signal, click, and treat. And he's really fast because he already knows how to do that. He's been doing it for many, many years. 10 years, huh? So the main point is to say your cue before you do your lure or hand signal that they've learned, and then click and treat. Then once they do that a few times, all done. You can say sit and wait for them to sit and then click and treat. All done. Good job. Good job. Yeah. Yeah. So for a down, it's easy to start with them in their sit. Then again, you would bait your hand if it's their first time doing this and they haven't done it at all. And then you can just lower your hand with the baited treat, with the baited hand, until they lie down, and then click and release the treat. Good boy. All done. Ready? So now I don't have a treat in my hand, but he does know. Click and I treat. Good boy. All done. Good job. Good job. All right. And then again, once you've done that a few times, actually, I'm going to say down, click, and then treat. All done.
he's bummed. He doesn't want to get up off the ground.
So I always make sure that I insert my release cue before they have the chance to move. I use this release cue as well for getting out of the car, for waiting at doorways or other thresholds, for all of their stays. I don't introduce a formal stay until I've worked sits and downs with a release cue, because I honestly want my dogs to learn how to stay even without me saying stay. So to build time to work up to an actual stay, once your dog has learned how to sit or down, you've done several repetitions and you've faded your lure and gotten it on your verbal cue, what you'll want to do is delay your click and treat for a second or two after you've given the cue and they've done it, and then build on that time. Once they've built up some duration, and you shouldn't be moving and making space at this point. You should only work on duration to start. That's a lot easier for most dogs. Once they are able to settle into that sit or that down and wait a few seconds, you can start to introduce, after you've asked them to sit or down, a stay. And then again, wait a second or two, click, deliver a treat to reinforce the stay. So what does that look like? Jasper! Jasper! He's like wanting to be lazy. Sit. Stay. And then give a treat. All right? All done! All done. Done with that. You're done with that. Yeah, you're done with that. I like to play after I finished practicing for a few moments. Obviously, I'm only doing 1 or 2 repetitions just to demonstrate and not make this a very, very long video. But those are the basic components of teaching your dog using luring. First, you use a baited hand, a few repetitions. You get the treat out of your hand, use your hand. Once they're good at following your hand to do the desired behavior and you've reinforced that, then you're going to say your verbal cue, then give your hand gesture for several times and click and treat. Then you're going to say the verbal alone, give them a moment to think and respond, then click and treat. Add your duration for a few seconds before you start to introduce a formal stay. There's a great method. You can look up clickertraining.com. There's some articles on 300 peck that go over how to build duration as well as distance. And we'll go over that more in another video. Thanks.